took this man who helps women optimize their hormones in this weird fitness niche from $40,000 a month to $203,000 a month with 70% profit margins. So he went from making $10,000 a month in profit to $140,000 a month in profit, all within the span of 6 months. It wasn't from dancing around on social media or some crazy ad spend or some ridiculous challenge funnel. It was an evergreen system using 5 decisions, which I implemented as a mentor to help him execute on the right problems to scale his business. But keep in mind, he did execute on every single thing I said. He didn't second guess anything, and that's why he got results. So he used to have a 20-25% profit margin, and we immediately got him to spend 90% less on advertising without sacrificing client results and without cold outreach. Yes, he did have a following, but he wasn't conversing it before. So within the first month, he already skyrocketed his top line, $89,000, but he still had the issues of heavy outgoings, which we came to fix. I'll go through how we did that and got him to $203,000 using a few systems with only $9,000 in spend by the end of it, which was next to nothing for the entire amount of revenue he was making. He went from spending $10,000 a month in shout outs and $20,000 a month in ads to collecting serious money in his pocket. So my goal with Davey was very, very simple. It was building a predictable system for booking calls which didn't require crazy spend, having him focus on content and managing a lean team, and making sure the profit margins gave him confidence to consistently scale. He got to days where he was hitting $52,000 a day. And in this video, I'm going to walk you through the 5 decisions I made and why. And if you don't know me, I'm Azri. I built a 7-figure fitness business, $1.2 million a year, scaled over 40 coaches to $50,000 a month, over 10 to $100,000 plus per month, and ever received a bad review. So every single person that's come to us has had some serious results, and honestly have been very, very happy because we focus on delivery. We focus on making sure every single client scales with the right systems, with one-to-one individual support, because all the clients have a different situation when they come to us. Some of them don't have a big following yet still hit 160K a month. Some of them do have the following and hit serious numbers. Some of them are only ads and hit serious numbers. But for context, Davey started with ridiculously low profit margins. This was actually 25% here. He was spending about $30,000 a month total in ad spend. That was across shout outs and meta ads. Inflated team. He had a copywriter too as well for some reason. He had 10 hours a day on calls all day, every day, and he was burnt out. He was a standard entrepreneur. He wouldn't know what to do next because he didn't have the bandwidth to even think about it. And this is what led him to making a change and asking for help, reaching out for help. To now, he has 70% profit margins on a $203,000 a month business, spends a lot less on ads, is now spending 18% less than he was in the October month there before. Nearly all his acquisition is now organic with proper teams and proper systems, which I'll go through, and he doesn't need to take sales calls anymore. He still takes some, but he has a lot less of a management headache around lead gen teams, sales teams, coaching teams as well, which is what got him to a profitable $203,000. So here's the 5 steps, the priority list that we worked on. Number 1, it was cutting out all the expenses. So the first thing I did, I reviewed all his costs and I looked at what needed to be cut out. There was a lot that didn't need to be there. He was overpaying coaches. He was overpaying setters. He had the wrong setters and the wrong workflow for that system to convert. Refined his offer completely. So one of his offers, he had a 50% spend on. So he was losing half the amount he was collecting on just the fulfillment. And next, it was the positioning and the acquisition channels here as well. So he didn't position himself right to be an authority in his niche. So he was attracting low quality leads. He was bringing the wrong people into the top of the funnel, and he didn't have any sort of efficient lead gen or sales team. So now he has a closer. He has a efficient lean team as well. And we managed to turn off $30,000 a month in ads. And we made sure that the people on the team were only there to get him results, only there to make him money. So in that month as well, the first month in, he had 162 applications. He's getting paid in fulls all day, every day. And he's able to get results all the way from being from $89,000 in the first month after a horrible $40,000 a month for him before, and get to a point where he's able to review KPIs, know what they mean. The second point we hammered on was the setting processes. We refined the script, we re-scripted, and we reset expectations for his new team. We've had to fire 2 of the setters, bring 2 more in, and we set a cadence around proper management. So the setting team now runs on autopilot, where he's now collecting $40,000 weeks and he's getting 35 calls booked in 2 days. We had another issue that we had to dial in again in December after his margins improved to 51% and hit a $96,000 a month fall, which was the second month he was working with us for. So we got to a point where we also brought in an outbound VA who was sending another 300, 400 new messages per day, and then made sure at least a 20% conversion from the first message. So in total, maybe 600 messages where about 20% were converted. So there was about 150 ongoing conversations. And from the ongoing conversations, there was about 40 call offers made, where about 10 to 15 were being booked a day, all because the DM process worked in his favor and it was aligned with his niche and it was aligned with his content as well. So that led us to refining his offer. So he had 50% costs on 2 out of 3 of his offers. So we looked at every single part of the business. So the amount it costed to get a lead. So that was a setting team where his acquisition cost was all within content and the setters. And we looked at how much it costed to get a call booked, and we looked at how much it costed to get a call taken and acquired. And then we looked at how much he collected on average per call. So we found that we could up the prices because his close rate was high and his average collected was actually super high. So he was using an Amex Blue Cash method. So the clients were opening credit lines on the calls to make sure that they were able to join his $3, $5, or $10,000 offer at that time. Now, how he's able to charge that much is because of the refinement of the offer, having a good product and aligning all the pieces of the puzzle with his niche and with the messaging process and the sales process with the call. So it's not impossible to charge that amount of money, but knowing how to attract the right people with the money for them to be able to buy is super important. All of this ties down into how the offer is framed and how you can keep that offer profitable. So his offer was more hormone health. So they actually delivered on blood work, GI maps, which he had heavy spend on, and the fulfillment team were being paid a bit too much, way too much. So we cut down on all of those expenses and we made sure that we had a very efficient spend on the back end, but also made sure he was able to close consistently. So he was closing $3,000 to $5,000 leads consistently with the credit system, the buy now, pay later system, which I can just DM me on IG. I can send you the SOP for. So he now has a 70% profit margin per client and a 70% margin on the entire business as well. So the next thing was the positioning and the acquisition channels here as well. So we made sure we fixed the content systems, the CRM sequences, and turned the ads back on. So the content, one video got him $100,000, $200,000. How that compounded across the rest of the videos. So he was gaining followers in his niche, the people who could buy, who were aligned with his offer, and the people that were watching his content were being nurtured, especially with our DM webinar sequence, where they are nurtured within the DMs as well as with the content and with the right stories. So the same strategy for content isn't going to work for everyone. So we had to build it around him and what works best for him and his niche. So everything down to how this was scripted and positioned was super, super important. So we knew exactly how much he could put in to get this much out. And at this point, he was spending next to nothing on ads. And that is the next step to push him to $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 a month. We're going to get his ROAS to a consistent 6 to 8x. So he can put in $1 in, get $6 to $8 out. And that's where we'll scale his spend so he can get to 300, 500,000 a month. And I'm confident on that because we've rebuilt the entire process, the entire foundation for him to be able to scale, because now it doesn't rely on him. It's not a house of cards that's going to collapse if he leaves for a week, because he now has dialers, he has closers. We've hired and fired, so he has a lean, efficient team. And the training and monitoring systems, the SOPs, are bulletproof. So anyone can come into his business. They don't have to use their own brain. And now we have closers getting $10,000 paid in fulls. We have people paying $10,000 with credits with the same system. And once again, $52,000 days. So with this entire system, Davey knows exactly how many Instagram stories to post to get this many leads and this many clients. And he knows how many messages need to be sent by the setters and which message is going to be the drop off between a outbound to a response, a follow-up to a response, to a call offer, to a booking. And we know how to make sure that show up rate consistently scales as well, because we implemented every procedure to make sure that he had enough calendar slots, there was enough value in the DMs, and the VSL webinar sequence was helping the leads go from a cold lead to a warm buyer, and making sure that entire process was bulletproof with the right nurture sequences and email sequences, as well as SMS, WhatsApp reminders. And of course, he knows how to make sure that the business is profitable and efficient, because we could spend endlessly and destroy our profit margins for the sake of having Stripe numbers. That wasn't the goal. If that was the goal, we would have done that with every client and every client would have left. But we have a 100% success rate for a very, very good reason, because we're able to profitably build businesses for our clients where they are going to buy freedom. They are going to buy time, going to buy location, financial freedom, so they can build a business that they have confidence in with the right people, systems, and data for them to consistently scale. I hope you learned something about how I make decisions around specific businesses. And if you want to get the same transformation Davey did, drop me a message on Instagram, AsriBiz, and also follow on there, because I actually spend a lot of time on the stories. It's kind of valuable if you want to be another transformation. So this should be updated to 200, and all of these should be updated. Now, main thing is you go away and you look at what your business looks like and have a hard think about what you need to execute on next. Of course, you can also book a call. I'll chat with you personally, not a sales call. We actually dive into what's needed for the business. And if it's just some SOPs, I'll send you some SOPs and let you be on your way. But good luck. Hope to see you in the next one.